Uh, Desire to retire. Love the name. Can you explain how DAF, donor advised funds, work? Are they good for tax issues from Roth conversions? Well, so the idea of a donor advised fund is you transfer assets to the donor advised fund. And a lot of people use them to transfer appreciated stock or mutual funds or ETFs because you don't recognize the gain and you get a full tax deduction. There are limitations on the value of the, say, stock or whatever ETFs that you transfer. So if you were to transfer, say, shares of VTI to a donor advised fund today, that could potentially be a write-off when you for the year in which you do the transfer. So in this case, 2022. Once it's in the donor advised fund, you can actually invest it. You don't have to give it to charities right away. You can wait a year, or you can give it to charities over time. And while it sits there, you can invest it. So at Vanguard, you invest in Vanguard funds. Schwab has a donor advised fund. Fidelity does. And then to make a charitable contribution, you basically just log in. It has to be a registered, whatever 501c3. I don't know if there's other designations, and you just tell them who you want the check to go to, how much, and depending on the charity, there's other information you fill in. And you can set it up to be a monthly thing. You say, hey, every month I want X dollars to go to this charity. And so where I found it very useful, it's an easy way to give appreciated stock. Now, the one thing you have to keep in mind, so in order to get the benefit of that from a tax perspective, you have to itemize. All right. Although I think last year you got like maybe $300 was that deduction if you didn't itemize for charitable contributions, maybe part of the COVID thing. But putting that aside, you only get a benefit if you itemize. And if you're donating appreciated stock, I think you're limited to, I think it's 30% of your AGI. Yeah. Well, I say that because a Google search came up with something that. Oh, this is from Schwab. Here we go. Let's see. In general, your donation deduction will be limited to 50% of your adjusted gross income unless you only give cash, in which case the limit is 60%, whereas the limit on donating appreciated assets to qualified charities is 30% of your AGI. I think then there's a carry forward, I think. So if you did a Roth conversion, that's going to trigger income, presumably, unless you were converting assets that like a backdoor Roth. But assuming you're doing a Roth conversion of pre-tax from a pre-tax IRA, that's going to trigger income and among all your other income for that year, and donating to a donor advised fund, if you itemize, could be a deduction. If it's appreciated assets, I think of that, and for me, mainly appreciated stock, there is that 30% of AGI limit. But I will say the donor advised fund doesn't in any way increase your tax benefits. I mean, and in fact, you can contribute, say, appreciated stock to some charities. But the problem is a lot of charities aren't set up. Maybe the large ones are, but a lot of charities aren't set up to handle the donation of stock or ETFs. And so because the way a donor advised fund works is when you're going to make the gift, they just liquidate it and send cash or check or whatever. Yeah. So I hope that helps.